Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a loving couple who longed for a child. They lived next to a beautiful, lush garden filled with all sorts of vegetables and flowers. However, this garden belonged to a wicked witch named Dame Gothel. One day, the wife, who was expecting a baby, looked out of the window and saw some fresh, green rampion, a type of lettuce, in the witch's garden. She craved it so much that she felt she would die if she couldn't have it. Seeing his wife's desperation, the husband decided to sneak into the garden to get some rampion for her. Late at night, he climbed over the garden wall, quickly gathered some rampion, and brought it back to his wife. She made a delicious salad and ate it greedily, but her craving only grew stronger. Night after night, the husband stole more rampion for his wife, but one night, he was caught by Dame Gothel. "How dare you steal from my garden?" she shouted. The husband trembled with fear and begged for mercy. Dame Gothel glared at him and finally said, "I will let you go, but you must give me your firstborn child." Terrified, the husband agreed. When their baby girl was born, Dame Gothel took her away and named her Rapunzel, after the rampion her mother had craved. The witch locked Rapunzel in a tall tower with no doors or stairs, only a small window at the very top. As the years passed, Rapunzel's golden hair grew longer and longer, until it was so long that it could reach the ground. Every day, Dame Gothel would visit Rapunzel by standing at the bottom of the tower and calling out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel would then throw her long golden braid out of the window, and the witch would climb up. Rapunzel lived a lonely life in the tower, but she loved to sing. Her beautiful voice would float through the forest, bringing joy to all who heard it. One day, a young prince who was riding through the forest heard Rapunzel's sweet song. He followed the sound and discovered the tower, but he couldn't find a way to get in. Determined to meet the owner of the lovely voice, the prince returned day after day, listening and watching. One day, he saw Dame Gothel approach the tower and heard her call out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." The prince watched in amazement as the braid tumbled down and the witch climbed up. The next day, after the witch had left, the prince stood at the bottom of the tower and called out, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Just as before, the golden braid fell, and the prince climbed up. Rapunzel was startled at first, but the prince spoke kindly to her, and soon they became friends. The prince and Rapunzel fell in love and made a plan to escape. Each time he visited, he brought a piece of silk, and Rapunzel began weaving a ladder. However, their happiness was short-lived. One day, Dame Gothel discovered the prince and was furious. She cut off Rapunzel's hair and banished her to a lonely desert. When the prince came to the tower and called for Rapunzel, the witch let down the cut hair. When the prince climbed up, he found Dame Gothel instead. In despair, he jumped from the tower and was blinded by the thorny bushes below. For many months, the prince wandered, blind and heartbroken, until one day he heard a familiar voice singing. Following the sound, he found Rapunzel. Overjoyed, Rapunzel's tears of happiness fell on his eyes, and miraculously, his sight was restored. The prince and Rapunzel returned to his kingdom, where they were welcomed with open arms. They were married and lived happily ever after, their love and courage overcoming all obstacles. And so, the story of Rapunzel reminds us that love, bravery, and kindness can conquer even the greatest challenges.